Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Conversations with Myself, the other show I do. I just finished my first part of my Road to 500 episodes of Dylan Knows with my first video for my favorite 500 favorite movies of all time, 500 through 401. Just finished that. And so I decided to come back down here and decided it took a longer than I wanted to. I was going to try to get two of those done today, but I don't think I'm going to be able to because I got to get up early tomorrow. Plus, I have a mouse issue upstairs I'm trying to get rid of right now. So before I go to bed, it'll be taken care of. But right now, I decided I was going to do this because this is the summer movie preview I was going to do sometime this weekend. So I figured I may as well do it now because this won't take as long a time as always. So Conversation with Myself is just a show where I just talk about things that I can't usually talk about during my regular show because I got a lot of stuff I got to cover on that. This is just more individual sort of things. So I used to do some movie previews because I've been doing this stuff for about 10 years now. And I just stopped doing it after a while, particularly around COVID time because they weren't releasing movies out in theaters. But now theaters seem to be the big thing now. So I've got a list of, it shouldn't take too long, but some of the big movies that are coming out this summer, as well as some smaller ones that you may or may not know about. So the reason I'm doing it today, which is it's 11:05 p.m. on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, is because this weekend is the official kickoff of summer. This happened way back, I think, when Twister first came out a long time ago, back in the 90s. They decided this would be the kickoff for summer movies. And then once Marvel came into prominence, they sort of took over this weekend and sort of made it their own. So May 5th, 2023, we have the first film in our summer movie preview is Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Volume 3. I actually went and saw this today. Earlier, my full review of it will be on tomorrow's episode of Dylan Knows. Regardless, it is an outstanding movie, one of Marvel's best in a long time, and stars Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, Charlie Poulter, who was in there, Pom Flummergrant, I forgot her last name, plays Mantis. Sean Gunn is in that as well. Vin Diesel's the voice of Groot. Bradley Cooper is the voice of Rocket. We'll talk about all that tomorrow. But this is the lead movie to kick off summer films, summer movie preview, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So definitely go out ahead and go on and see it. Next week, May 12th, we've got a bunch of movies. First one is Hypnotic, directed by Robert Rodriguez, starring Ben Affleck. The basic premise behind that it's a psychological mystery thriller sort of thing. And it's kind of interesting. It's been in limbo for a while. They made it a while back, but their distributor lost money or whatever, and couldn't get it back. But eventually they had to find a new one. Eventually they got it and it's ready and to go. So they releasing it now. It's a sort of mystery thriller with some sort of supernatural aspects to it as well. There's not going to be a lot of descriptions about these. So I don't know too much about a lot of these. Next up is Fool's Paradise. It's a comedy directed by Charlie Day. Stars Charlie J, Jason Bateman, and Jason Sudeikis. It's about a guy who's mute, who stumbles into becoming a breakout star. Kim Jong's in it as well. And lots of other Common, Edie Falco, Kate Beckinsale, Adrian Brody, John Malkovich, doing some weird stuff. It's a kind of a modern day version of Charlie Chaplin's Little Tramp sort of thing. Next up, we have Book Club, The Next Chapter. Stars Jane Fonda, Diane Keaton, Candice Bergen, and Mary Steenburgen, all great actresses, coming back together to do a sequel to the surprising hit from 2018. So the basic premise is when one of them nominates 50 Shades of Grey as the club's next selection, ends up being a wake-up call for the group to enjoy their lives and take some chances. Also includes Andy Garcia, Don Johnson, Craig T. Nelson, and Richard Dreyfuss as all potential romantic people for them. So fun to see older ladies involved in stuff. Another movie coming out on the 12th is Blackberry. I don't know much about that because it's not in this list, but I saw it in another list. It's based about the Blackberry phones. The movie Air did well with the Air Jordans, and now we have this film about blackberries. So wonderful. The big film coming up next, the 12th, there'll be some, no, they'll make some money, but not a lot. Probably not going to be a big deal because Guardians of the Galaxy will probably take over the second week in a row. But that'll be dethroned on May 19th when Fast X shows up. The 10th Fast and the Furious one is the next to last one. They got one more to go after this. It's directed by Louis Leterrier, who was not the original choice. They had somebody else, and I think they started filming it, but then he left. But it's got a cast made up of Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, Jason Momoa, and Captain Marvel's in it also. Can't remember her name right now because my mind is, I'm thinking about the mouse upstairs and I'm tired and I'll go to bed, stuff like that. But yeah, so that's up there. That's going to be the big one on the 19th. Also coming out on the 19th is a bizarre little film called Master Gardener. Now, my mom was a master gardener, which is kind of funny. It's someone who's good about gardening, knows things about plants and flowers, stuff like that. But this is more of a thriller directed by Paul Schrader, who hasn't done anything for a little while, but is a fairly solid director. Stars Joel Edgerton, Quintessa Swindell, and Sigourney Weaver. And it's a horror thriller sort of thing. So Joel Edgerton plays a horticulturalist with dark secrets. So the next one after that will be May 26th. The Little Mermaid live action version, which is freaking out all the conservatives because it has a black Ariel in it. The live action version is coming out on May 26th. I'm not going to see it because I didn't like The Little Mermaid to begin with, regardless. Don't care if she's black, white, red, blue, green. I don't care. The story itself is awful. But a lot of people do like it, and it is a musical. Rob Marshall's directing it. Halle Berry, not the Halle Berry we all know, but a different Halle Berry. Jonah Hauer-King, Melissa McCarthy, David Diggs, Awkwafina, Jacob Tremblay, all in this as well. Alan Menken, who was the writer of the music, writes a few new songs with new collaborator Lin-Manuel Miranda. So we'll get a couple new songs from them that are fitting here too. So good on that for there. Kandahar, the action thriller from Rick Roman Walk, starring Gerard Butler, who's made himself a career doing these like action flicks that make some money. So he still makes them. Bahadur Faladi and Naveed Negolabim. It's just basically a story about the Afghanistan war, and it's an action film. So there you go. May 26 also brings us You Hurt My Feelings. It's a dramedy directed by Nicole Holofener, starring Julie Louis-Dreyfus, Tobias Menzies, and Michael Watkins. It's from A24, who's been doing outstanding work with independent stuff. And the premise is New York author and teacher Beth, her therapist husband Don, and how they navigate the fallout after she overhears him disparaging her latest book. It's kind of a Woody Allen-esque sort of movie, they're saying, with a female director, though. And then finally, we have The Machine, another action comedy with Peter Atencio as the director. Mark Hamill's in the cast, actually in a major role. Bert Kreischer and Jess Kabor. Mark Hamill's not playing Luke Skywalker or a version of Mark Hamill. He's actually playing a character. This is based on a true story. Bert Kreischer is a stand-up comedian who told a story about one summer how he worked for the Russian mobsters during a college trip. And so they made a fictionalized version of the story and added more to it, where 23 years later, he and his estranged father, played by Mark Hamill, are kidnapped by the Russian mob to pay for their sins. So it's one of these action comedy sort of things. So we'll see what happens. And that's it for May for the most part. There might be other ones that come out, but these are the big ones right now that everybody's talking about. June 2nd finds the next real big hit for the summer. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, which was a hugely popular animated film from a few years ago, won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature, as it deserved to be. And it's taking the story of the Spider-Verse, where there's multiple versions of Spider-Man as they team up against villains. This is the sequel to it, where we see some of the main characters from the original one coming back in here, but being joined by other characters as well. We've got Shamik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, and Oscar Isaac on voices. Directed by Joaquin Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson. Not the same directors who did the original one, but it's written by them. So it should be interesting. It's the first of a two-parter, obviously, since it says part one. The second part will be out sometime next year, I believe. I don't think it'll be ready for the fall. I think it'll come out sometime next year. So that'll be the big one for everybody to see. That's June 2nd. June 2nd also brings The Boogeyman, which is a horror film from Rob Savage, starring Sophie Thatcher, Chris Messina, David Dastmalchian. Real quick, I'm getting all this information from Polygon.com, by the way. This is written based on a lesser-known short story by Stephen King. He's seen it. He enjoys it. So if you like your horror, here's your summer horror for you. June 9th, only one movie is making its appearance there because they believe it's going to take over the next Transformers movie. Transformers Rise of the Beasts. This is not your Michael Bay Transformers, thank God. Instead, after Michael Bay's, 4 or 5 Transformers movies, they did the Bumblebee movie with Haley Steinfeld, and this is sort of a spinoff of that one as well, even though Haley Steinfeld is not in it. But it's a bit more like the Transformers you expect and not the Michael Bay versions of them. This is directed by Stephen Caple Jr., stars Anthony Ramos, Dominique Fishback, and Michelle Yeoh. And, of course, has a lot of different voices and stuff like that. And, Ron Perlman's got a voice as well, and more Transformers and stuff like that. So it looks like more of what you expected from a live action Transformer movie than what Michael Bay gave you. So I should check that out too. June 16th brings about Pixar's summer movie, Elemental. Peter Sohn is the director, and Mamadou Athie and Leah Lewis are the voices of it. The basic premise is in a world called Element City, where all the elements are human-ish. You follow a fire person and a water person who fall in love with each other, and how they're going to react to that with fire, and water not being a good fit. So should be interesting. Also, June 16th, unfortunately, is going to make a ton of money. This movie should not have been released because the lead actor is a criminal. The Flash, the continuation of the Snyderverse. Andy Muschietti is a director. Ezra Miller, Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton appearing in this. Michael Shannon makes an appearance, reprising his role as General Zod. Sasha Calle as Supergirl. This looks awful just because I have a huge dislike of Zack Snyder, and Ezra Miller himself should be in prison because of all the shit he's done over the last few years. The fact that they're releasing this movie is a sham, and the fact that James Gunn is all like, hey, he might still have a place for us in the new DCO. I don't think that should be a case. They should recast The Flash because Ezra Miller is bad news. He's claimed he's, apologized, recanted, whatever, but I don't buy it. I don't trust him. So not going to see this, but unfortunately it's probably going to make a ton of money and people are going to go, see. Bleh. The Blackening is a horror comedy from Tim Story. I think he's the guy who directed Deadpool. This stars Antoinette Robertson, Dwayne Perkins, and Cinqua Walls. It's a horror film about a group of black friends who stay at a cabin in the woods, encounter a killer, and insists the group rank their degrees of blackness to determine who dies first. So, okay, that's kind of racist, but all right. Netflix, even though this film is not going to be released on in the movie theaters, but it is going to be released on Netflix on a Friday, and it is a big deal. Extraction 2, directed by Sam Hargrave, with Chris Hemsworth reprising the role from the first one. Golshifteh Farahani and Daniel Bernhardt. The first one did outstanding, was one of Netflix's highest rated one. Of course, they were going to make a sequel. Plus, everybody loves Chris Hemsworth. So it's worth it just to check that out as well on Netflix. You'll be able to check it out for free because it'll be on Netflix. Finally, we have Wes Anderson's return to filmmaking. He's been away for a while with Asteroid City. It's a comedy with a huge cast, including Margot Robbie, Tom Hanks, Edward Norton, Scarlett Johansson, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Adrian Brody, Liev Schreiber, Jason Schwartzman, Steve Carell, Hong Chow, Willem Dafoe, Margot Robbie, stuff like that. And Bill Murray was supposed to be in it, but he got COVID before they shot his scenes, so they had to recast. But it's typical Wes Anderson. It takes place in like a 1950s sort of thing with aliens and sort of just a weird sort of dreamscape kind of bizarre thing. But Tom Hanks working with Wes Anderson and just a really meaty cast makes this one pretty interesting. June 23rd, we have, it's not on this list, but Jennifer Lawrence, in a romantic comedy where she plays a sexy woman who's trying to, he gets paid to try to bring a nerdy guy out of his shell. This didn't make the list on Polygon, but I've seen out there. I've seen the trailers for it, stuff like that. She's going all out on the sexiness, so it's going to be one of these sex comedy stuff, which is great. Jennifer Lawrence really doesn't do much sexy stuff, so it'd be nice to see her try something different. June 30th finds Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the final Indiana Jones movie, and the first one not directed by Steven Spielberg, but Harrison Ford does return to reprise his role one last time, as does the actors who played Sala is in it as well. But we also are joined by Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Mads Mikkelsen, and it's going to be the last of the Indiana Jones stuff. He played, you get to see de-aged Harrison Ford in a couple of scenes back in the 1940s facing off against Nazis, but then you also see him in his current state of being like an 80-year-old man, fighting and doing stuff. And saw the trailer again today when I watched Guardians of the Galaxy, so looks okay, but again, not one that I don't know if I'm going to be, jumping out the windows to go see or stuff like that. But still, we'll see what happens. But it's going to be the last one. Harrison Ford has already said he's not doing any more. I won't be able to, but it's going to be the last one with Harrison Ford. So we'll see if they reboot or they do other stuff with it. We get into July now, July 7th. The next horror movie comes up, Insidious, which is continuing its reign as a great horror franchise, has their new movie, The Red Door, directed by Patrick Wilson, who also stars in it with Rose Byrne and Ty Simpkins. If you know the Insidious storylines, that's all you need to know about this. It's the next one in the Insidious storyline. Joyride, a comedy coming out July 7th, is a female sex comedy, which you don't see all that often, directed by Adele Lim, plus with a bunch of people of color, actors and actresses. Ashley Park, Stephanie Sue, and David Denman. It's a raunchy female-fronted comedy about Asian American immigrant experience. It's got just all kinds of crazy stuff in it, and the trailer's hilarious, so it looks great. July 12th, I did not know this movie. They just scheduled this movie up to the summer, but I thought this movie wouldn't come out till next year. But then I guess they moved it to the fall, and then they moved it up to now. Tom Cruise is back, and Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. This time he's joined by not Haley Steinfeld. Where is he? Rebecca Ferguson's in it, as is Vanessa Kirby, but so is Haley Atwell, that's what it is in it too. And then, of course, the rest of his Mission Impossible crew is in there too. Chris McQuarrie directs again. You're going to get what you're going to get. It's going to make a ton of money also. It's action. It's Tom Cruise. It's all kinds of cool stuff. Here's an indie one you probably haven't seen, July 14th. Theater Camp. It's a comedy. The directors Molly Gordon and Nick Lieberman. Cast is Jimmy Tatro, Ben Platt, Molly Gordon. It's a summer camp movie that takes place. It's a mockumentary that follows the attendees and staff of a small theater arts camp after its founder and leader has a stroke. The duty of running the camp then falls to her son, Troy. He's a jock and semi-professional YouTuber, but mostly he's a dumbass who's clueless about theater. So it sounds like some fun, but it is an independent film, but it is also the only one that's coming out on July 14th that we know, because Mission Impossible is going to be killing it that Wednesday on July 12th. July 21st, we find Barbie coming out, as well as Oppenheimer. We'll cover Barbie first. Comedy directed by Greta Gerwig, Margot Robbie, Will Ferrell, Helen Mirren, Ryan Gosling, Michael Cera's in there, Issa Rae, Harry Nuff, Dua Lipa, Emma McKay, and just a whole bunch of other people. It's a weird idea for a movie. It is bizarre, but the trailer looks hilarious. It looks definitely like something to experience. My daughter, who's going to be working all summer and only gets like one day home a week during the summer, is going to take her one day home on that weekend, July 21st, and go see this movie with her friends. It's going up against Chris Nolan's new film, Oppenheimer. Yes, based on the biopic of Oppenheimer, the guy that created the bombs. Stars Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr. is in there. Florence Pugh has a appearance in there. I think there's some other famous actors in there, but it is a massive biopic, and the battle's going to be between these two. I don't know which one's going to prevail. I think Barbie's got the leg up, even though it is a Christopher Nolan movie. It's a deep storyline with Oppenheimer and bombs and war and stuff like that. I don't know if that's going to appeal to summer people, even though it is Christopher Nolan. I think Barbie might win this one outright. So we'll see. That'll be one to keep an eye on. And on Netflix, if you can't see either of those movies in the movie theater, you want to check some on Netflix, you can check out They Clone Tyrone, sci-fi comedy directed by Jewel Taylor, stars Tyler Antonius, Jamie Foxx, and Teyonah Parris. It's like a blaxploitation sort of sci-fi sort of film. So intriguing. Talk to Me comes out on July 28th. It's the next horror film for the summer. Danny and Michael Philippou direct it. Sophie Wilde, Joe Bird, Alexander Jensen. Say you're a teen, you find a mummified hand that when you hold it allows you to speak to a spirit. Who do you speak to? So there's your premise. Unleashing spirits. Finally, we get into August. August 4th sees the sequel to the surprise hit, The Meg, with The Meg 2, The Trench. Horror film directed by Ben Wheatley, starring Jason Statham, Wu Jing, Skylar Samuels. It's just a different version of Jaws, but if it was like 10 Jaws is put together into one giant shark. So if you like the original Meg, you will probably like the sequel as well. Seth Rogen's production of the animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem film comes out this week as well. So it's a different take on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Seth Rogen's take in it. She brings in his friend Rose Byrne, Jackie Chan, and Ayo Edebiri are the cast, and it's directed by Jeff Rowe and Kyler Spears. Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg are producing it, and I think they wrote the script as well. But it is animated, and we'll see what happens. More horror. August 11th arrives with The Last Voyage of the Demeter. It's a horror film directed by Andre Overdahl, Corey Hawkins, Aisling Franciosa, Liam Cunningham, and I think what's his name? David Dastmalchian and Liam Cunningham are also in it as well, and Javier Botet. Basically, in the novel Dracula, written by Bram Stoker, one of the bits is a empty boat arrives in American shores, and all that's inside is like a coffin, a mound of dirt. So they don't know what's going on, so they remove that. They don't know what happened to the cast and crew. That ship is the Demeter. What we see here is what they believe happened. Obviously, they were transporting Dracula to the New World. He got out at night to feed and destroyed the cast, the crew, and was of the ship, and was able to get out. We get to see in all the gory detail how these people were killed by Dracula. The next video game movie, Gran Turismo, came out August 11th. It's coming out August 11th. The first new trailer for that came out. I haven't checked it out yet. But Neil Blomkamp, who's done some stuff in a while, is directing this. It's a little something different than he's used to, but he's doing it. It's a sports film. Stars Archie Madekwe, David Harbour, and Orlando Bloom. But yes, it's based on the video game, the racing game. And finally, the last big film to come out in the summer wraps up August 18th with DC's next movie, Blue Beetle. Directed by Angel Manuel Soto. Cast includes Zolo Maraduena from Cobra Kai, Susan Sarandon, George Lopez. This is their I think this one is actually going to be in James Gunn's wheelhouse as well. I think this one has a better chance of being a better movie. If there's one DC movie you want to watch this year, it's probably this one, Blue Beetle, and not The Flash. This one's going to probably be more important and better, and does not have the controversies that follow The Flash. So on that note, I'm done. I'm tired. I was going to try to do my next movie one, but that took 2 hours because I got that mouse problem. I don't feel like dealing with that. I kind of want to go upstairs and go to bed because I'm tired and I need to get up early tomorrow anyway. So here's hoping. I haven't heard the trap snap, so I'm assuming that the mouse is keeping its distance, but eventually they're stupid enough that they're going to hopefully get eaten or attacked by it. So maybe I didn't hear it, but I think I would have heard it if it snapped. So I'll keep it up overnight and we'll see what happens. All right. Good night. Thanks for watching my summer movie preview. I know it wasn't quite as interesting as other stuff, but I just wanted to get it out there. And this makes up for the 2 hours and 45-minute episode I just did. So here's a quick 25 one for you. Go out to the movie theaters this summer. Check some stuff out. Keep your mind up on streaming. Go see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's definitely worth it. And by the way, tomorrow is also Free Comic Book Day. Saturday, May 6th is Free Comic Book Day. Go get your free comics. All right. Thanks a lot. Take care. And I'm going to try to hit this again, ending the stream right on time.